Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about Invincible season one, which I don't know if you guys haven't seen it. Maybe you're on the wrong channel because you should have watched it by now. You should have sat there and said, "Hey, it's awesome," or "It's terrible," or whatever. All of that should be done now. And if anything, you should just be watching it because that meme is still going strong.
Oh, that meme is out of control.
There's a Daredevil season 3 meme with that, where it's Daredevil in a black suit as Omni-Man.
Yeah.
And Dex in the Daredevil suit as Invincible. Yeah. And he's just like, Fisk killed your wife. Think about it, Dex. Or no, think about it. Yeah, he killed Jessica. It's so obvious. And you're just like, I was, if it wasn't because I was already into season 2 by the time, or season 1, actually, when I saw that meme, I was like, I would have been like, guys, like, fuck off with this shit. But I'll let that one slide for now.
Yeah. Invincible season 1 from Amazon. Finally, my favorite comic book being adapted for something.
I gotta say though, animation is probably the best bet.
Animation was the right way to go. I know they still got a live action movie like in the works. It might happen now because of the success of this, but it's hard to say. I don't see them. Like, it's going to cost so much to make Invincible, and for it to be that violent, it's going to have to be R. And do you put that much money into an R-rated superhero movie?
I mean, you can, because of Deadpool. I meant to say Deadpool. Okay.
Yeah.
So Deadpool is obviously an outlier, but we're also talking about. You're right, like budget-wise, like to do it justice.
Yeah.
You'd have to. I would say easily 250 to 300 million.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to go all out with it to space and
that's just it, right? Like, it's not just it's contained all on Earth. It's Mars. It's it's Earth. It's primarily Earth, but then it's also just the animation, like how these things look, how they react, and the violence. It has to be violent,
It's gotta be.
They couldn't do like a PG-13 or a 14A. It would have to be a hard R.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's entirely possible. Like, I shouldn't say that they can't do it. After seeing this though, and knowing that it's already like picked up for 3 seasons.
Yeah, they got 2 more in the works now. And
I guarantee you by the time the second one is done, they'll probably be picked up for 5, and then that might be it. I mean, I see it going 5 seasons, give or take, depending on how they do the stories. But like, especially the end. Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
the end is going to be interesting.
This was 8 episodes, and it flew through issues.
Yeah,
like, it's kind of, as a comic fan from the beginning, I do prefer the pacing of the comic. But I mean, like we were saying before, it's a totally different audience for the TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
That super quick pacing. So,
well, I mean, first I was surprised it was 8 episodes, but I guess that's Amazon's calling. They're 8
episodes, 1 hour. I mean, that's long. An hour.
I was surprised.
Long, yeah.
Like 42 minutes or something like that. I was like, whoa, that's impressive. So, So yeah, I mean, it one thing I liked though, it never felt rushed.
No.
And it never dragged. So, like, you're way more familiar with his story than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I good chunk enough to be like, oh, okay. What I found interesting, which I thought was kind of neat, was because I knew that Omni-Man, killed the Guardians of the Department of Guardians and Galaxy Justice, or whatever you want to call them. The Galactic Defenders, I think that's what it was.
Guardians of the Globe.
Guardians of the Globe. I was coming up very close. Very close. So the Guardians of the Globe, like, I knew that Omni-Man killed them, but it was surprising that they showed it right away. They didn't like hide that it was him. It was full on like, boom, it's him. So then it was kind of interesting where you go, well, now how does this play out? you know?
Yep. Yeah, because in the comic, in the comic, they didn't show the death and they played it as a mystery. And I don't think Omni-Man revealed himself to like issue 10 or something like that. So like, you know, there was a long time there, but there was a lot of like Mark related stories to fill it in. And with the show, they went way into Invincible and kind of left a lot of the Mark stuff to the side.
It actually felt more like literally two sides of the same coin with Omni-Man and Mark. So they were telling both sides of the story. Yeah. Whereas the comic book is very much Mark's focus and Nolan is in the background doing his thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, like I said, for a guy that read a good chunk of the comic books, that was kind of refreshing. So it wasn't just like a cut and paste, which was nice. Plus, it's really hard to fault them because when you get J.K. Simmons,
he was a perfect choice for Nolan.
And oh man, when I saw that cast list, I was like, okay, all right, I got absolutely no complaints.
That's the most epic cast list for an animated TV series ever.
It's massive. It's massive. I'm actually like, I ended up going to the opposite side. I tried to include as many as I could. I think I only left off one or two guest voices just because I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, that's out of control now.
You know, and especially because like in some cases you've got like one guy voices like three different characters, technically two, but still three. But yeah, so like we can we'll do the general rundown, which is Invincible, which was created by Robert Kirkman, based on Invincible by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. And props for Wikipedia for including all three.
Yeah. I mean, like Corey Walker is technically the co-creator, but Ottley came in like issue 7 and basically
and then just took it from there.
Universe. So
yeah, exactly. And I mean, like the cool part is that both artists are just close enough.
Yeah.
Where if you didn't know, you might mistake it. But I mean, like I could tell, but it was still just like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
And Ottley's he's incredible.
Yeah, early Ottley was drawing a lot closer to Walker, I think, to make it not so jarring.
And then it like, just kind of bled into his
developed his own thing like throughout that whole run. And
so it was directed by 3 guys. Okay, so Paul Ferminger, Robert Valley, and Jeff Allen. And then Jeff Allen served as a co-director on a lot of these episodes. So the episodes that he didn't direct himself, he was co-director.
Nice.
Okay. This is where it gets long. All right. Brace yourself.
Everyone get in. I got a drink.
Okay. All right. So we've got Steve Ewan as Mark Grayson / Invincible. J.K. Simmons as Nolan Grayson / Omni-Man. Sandra Oh as Debbie Grayson, the mother and wife of Mark and Nolan, respectively.
Yep.
My order was good. Okay. One of my favorites, Jillian Jacobs as Eve Wilkins / Adam Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one of my favorite characters in the entire book, actually.
I love Adam Eve.
I loved everything they did with it. I even loved when they had her gain weight. Yep. And it was a mainstay. And it wasn't just like
wasn't like a 1-issue thing. Like it was at least probably a full year of comics.
It was a gradual gain and then it was a gradual loss. Like that was really cool. So it'll be interesting to see if they do something like that in the comic books or in the cartoon, depending on how long this goes. We've got Andrew Reynolds as William Clockwell, the best friend to Mark Grayson. B-movie character actor, one of a kind, Walter Goggins as Cecil Stedman. And this surprised me because when I was hearing the voice, I was like, that's familiar. And I couldn't place him. And then as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, it's because he's not really doing his normal Walter Goggins stuff. So he's kind of he's actually playing a character, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Then we've got Chris Diamantopoulos as Donald Ferguson, a random security guy. Like John Hamm was one of the CIA agents, and he was in for half an episode. I didn't write him down because I was like, ugh. But this is where it gets interesting. So we've got Zachary Quinto and Ross Marquand as Robot and Rudolph Rudy Connors. Mm-hmm. And this was really cool because like when Rudy was talking, I was like, that's not Zachary Quinto, right? And then when I found out it was Ross Marquand, I was like, oh, that's cool. Fucking Red Skull represent. Yeah. And then we've got the one, the only, Jason Mantzoukas, who I know that it's Jason Mantzoukas, but he's always Pimento for me.
Yeah.
He really is. Always Pimento. And, he was in Parks and Rec, and his character was hilarious in Parks and Rec. And then he's in The League, and his character is hilarious in The League. I think I told you about The League, right?
Yep.
But he's Pimento for me. I think that's his best role, his best like off the wall character. Because Pimento is just a good guy. He's just fucked.
Oh yeah.
He's fucked from being undercover in the mob for so long. So you can't fault him for that. But he's one of my favorites. We got Malaise Zhao as Duplicate. Gray Griffin as Shrinking Ray. Mm-hmm. Kevin Michael Richardson, who is a mainstay in voiceover work or voice acting. Yeah, voice acting. He plays Amanda Monster Girl and the Mahler twins.
Yep.
Now, Young Justice, Carrie Payton is Marcus Grimshank, Black Samson. Zazie Beetz is Amber Bennett, the girlfriend or sort of girlfriend, I guess, by the end of season 1.
I don't even
know. Mark Grayson.
I don't even know what you call her.
We've got, these are the next two are big ones, but I'm so glad every time I hear this guy, I'm like, yes, and that's motherfucking Clancy Brown. Oh, that voice.
I love Clancy Brown.
If I'm Clancy Brown, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just read lines like crazy in that voice. Just read lines. Doesn't matter for what. I'm just going to read lines, okay? And then I'm just going to release them upon my death. So that way, if they ever go, you know what? I want the guy from Highlander to say some stuff. And they go, oh, Clancy Brown? Yeah, he passed away. But his estate has allowed anyone who wanted to just pull from thousands of lines of dialogue. I don't know what he did in the last couple of years except record lines of dialogue. This is incredible. So that's cool. And also, the same can be said for Mark Hamill, who played Art Rosenbaum, the suit maker for all the superheroes. He's another one that should just – he's different, though, but he's got to do lines in his voice. He's got to do lines in the Joker voice. And then he's got to do lines in, like, one of the other voices that he does that isn't quite Mark Hamill, isn't quite the Joker.
Yeah.
But he should do the same. And then finally, just for shits and giggles, Seth Rogen as Alan the Alien, who honestly, after hearing him, I was like, yeah, there's no one else that could be Alan the Alien.
No, it's perfect.
It's absolutely perfect. Now, I pictured Alan the Alien more of like oh, hey, buddy, how's it going?
Yeah.
Because, like, that's kind of how they make it look. But I'm glad that it was Seth Rogen, and I almost said Seth Rollins. But yeah, so
Rogen was so perfect, and he's a huge Invincible fan, eh?
He's a huge comic book fan. Like, he's also the reason why the Preacher Show got off the ground, and I actually still have to watch that all the way through. Because I only watched the first handful of episodes. But it was on A&E, and it was on a weird night, so it was hard to follow it.
Yeah, he did Preacher. He's signed on as screenwriter for the Invincible film.
Which, it's smart to get your name attached to that. Yeah.
Series, so
yeah, exactly. So
yeah. So that wasn't too bad. I thought it was going to be more aggressive than that, but no, that was pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't. There's I think maybe 4 or 5 people that I didn't include, even though I mentioned John Hamm. Or John Hamm. Is it John Hamm or Hamm? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's John
really
Hamm.
Happy to hear there is some really big names in here, right?
Yeah.
But Michael Dorn was perfect as Battle Beast.
That's the one I missed. I knew I was missing one, and I was like, oh.
That was a great voice for Battle Beast.
Who else?
I'm still a little iffy on the introduction of Battle Beast in season 1.
Actually, I think it works because they're obviously going to have him come back. And when he comes back, it's going to be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because now,
my problem was the timing of it, because Mark literally gets butchered, heals up, and then immediately gets his ass whooped by his dad. Like there was for a show called Invincible, he's not really showing how invincible he can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I mean, that's also one of the things I liked about the comic book too, is that he's called Invincible, but he gets his fucking ass handed to him quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And it's like he's fucked like in the hot. Like that was probably one of the things that always threw me, was that because they work so closely with the government, he's in government facility hospitals.
Yeah.
You know, I remember the first comic book when I read it and that happened, I was like, oh yeah, that's crazy. Because like they always talk about in the comic books, like Batman, you take it for granted that Alfred's a field nurse, but also there's Leslie Tompkins if it's really bad, right? Or in the Daredevil MCU, there's the night nurse, you know.
Yep.
Which and I know that Claire in the Marvel's Netflix universe was to be the night nurse, which was smart.
For sure.
But you kind of just take it for granted, right? Because most of the people we're talking about have like super fast healing, or they're aliens, you know, like have you seen Superman in the hospital?
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah, Superman Returns, I think, is the only time I ever saw him in the hospital. But I thought it was ridiculous. I was like, they're using the pads on him and they're trying to put needles in him. I'm like, it's fucking Superman. Like, why would you even try that? Oh, I can't believe the needles, they bent on his skin. It's so weird.
It's crazy.
So weird, but the guy's fucking bulletproof. But yeah, sure. But anyway,
so right off the bat, like I'm going off the memory bank on this.
Yeah.
First episode, fantastic. Such a good introduction. The music is amazing. The cinematography of the animation is amazing.
Oh yeah.
The flying stuff just looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. The
flying stuff
where someone's about to say Invincible and then the titles pop up, and they did
that's one of my favorites.
Episode.
That is one of my absolute favorites. And like varying degrees of blood on the logo. I was like, that is so cool. And I'm glad they kept that going. And if they keep that going into season 2, I'm all for it. Maybe in season 3 they might want to lay off, but in season 2, I'm like, yep, bring it on.
Yeah, bring it.
But I loved it. I thought it was awesome. There's so much that I like. It's really hard to pinpoint it, but even just like, I like that we got to see Mark go through the same stuff he did in the comic books. Yeah, it's a little bit more sped up, because like this isn't like Superman, where Clark is raised up to, use his powers for good, but to keep it in secret, to not celebrate it, to just, keep your head down, and when you can't help people. Whereas, with Mark, it's different, where because he knows his dad's a superhero. So he's like, I'm going to get superpowers. So he's like super pumped, and he's like, yeah, I'll get superpowers. And then he doesn't get them. And then he's like, oh, right. So it's kind of like a switch where he's like, he really wants the powers because he wants the fame and glory, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then when he finally gets it, you're like, all right, that's cool.
I'm so happy the reveal is the same reveal from the comic too. Where
I was just gonna say I like that too, where he throws the bag of garbage.
Oh man, God, I laughed so hard in the comic when I read that, and to see it here, I was so happy. I was like, thank God they kept that.
And that's such a great way to introduce like that he's getting powers, because like I've talked about this with you, and I think on our Camcast a bunch of times too, where like it's crazy. Like we take it for granted because it's comic books and stuff, but in real life, you're that strong, you have to compensate to just open a door like a normal human being, to interact with people on a normal level. So in his case, he's just throwing this garbage like he always has, and now it's like launched into orbit. So he's like, the stuff with flying, when they're teaching the flying, I thought was really cool too. It was really cool. And you mentioned the flying scenes, the flying fight scenes. If we could see that in a superhero movie, I would be like, we were close with Man of Steel, very close with Man of Steel for having a really cool fight scene when they're flying. But this one, it's just like, ooh, we're close. We're so close. Mwah!
Mm-hmm. Yep. The changes to the characters, I don't really mind any of them because, I mean, obviously anyone that's watching the TV show and has never read the comic, it just seems normal to them. But
yeah,
people like me that have read it from the beginning, there's a lot of changes.
Well, yeah, like I forgot that Amber was white.
Amber was white. I mean, that didn't bug me. Amber was kind of like, she was an important character at first, and then she kind of just got written off in the comic.
Which I think is going to happen here.
It's hard to say. I mean, the way it
is hard to say because it is also Zazie Beetz too.
Totally changed the way the character is played in this. I don't like her. Everyone's going to say, but she's a strong female. Well, I think she's pretty. But I mean, I don't know.
I actually didn't mind her up until the reveal of Invincible.
Yeah, because when he revealed in the comics, like that was a funny reveal. Like I really enjoyed that. It's totally switched here. She's like, oh, I know, I don't give a fuck kind of thing.
Yeah, and like when I was thinking about it at first, I was like, oh, that's kind of refreshing because normally when it happens, they're like, oh, that explains everything. Yeah. Oh, and then they're just like, okay, cool, all right, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and just whereas where she was just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. That doesn't give me an excuse to be an asshole, and it was just like, oh yeah. But then it's funny because immediately after that, I was like, yeah, but like, really, couldn't you give him something for that? Like, wouldn't you let some of that shit slide because now you know why?
It's not like he just disappeared. He literally saved her life as Invincible.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, so like, I understand being like, yeah, I don't really give a shit. That doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshole. And you're like, yeah, you're right. But he's also, it's not like he's sneaking around with other women or stealing or being a bad guy. Mm-hmm. He's trying to protect the earth.
Yeah.
Primarily the city that he lives in, but Earth ultimately. Mm-hmm. The speed up with the robot though, that was surprising.
Yeah, they really sped that stuff up.
Like,
and at first,
almost immediately,
it was jarring. It was jarring at first because, like, it was like, what, episode 2? They start showing it.
Yeah, they start, and it's not even like they're subtly hinting at it. No, they show him grabbing DNA, and you're just like, why the fuck would he? And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was ultimately okay with that. What I don't like in the show, which people are going to say, what's the big deal? I don't like the cursing. I don't like the cursing. There's so many F-bombs in the show, so many fucks dropped, especially by Rexplode. And it really threw me off at first because in the comic, there is one fuck said throughout the whole series. And it's a big moment where you're like, fuck. And then Mark says, and you're like, exactly. And it really, really nailed it for me. That's right. Actually, there was tons of gore. Yeah. Shit tons of gore and everything in the comic, but never was there swearing. So to hear it every episode, I was kind of like, I don't really like it. Didn't really like it.
It didn't bother me. Like it didn't bother me at all, in all honesty. But if I was in your shoes, it would. Because I forgot all about the fact that it was literally only one fuck in the whole comic book. Yeah. So yeah, it is a bit different. So in that case, yes, it would be jarring. But coming from like Rexplode, let's face it, that guy can say whatever the hell he wants.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's
but I think that's partly the Seth Rogen stuff too. Seth Rogen being involved, I think that's partly why we got much more language. And I think it might also be the fact that they're like, yeah, it's a rated R cartoon. Like, fuck yeah.
Cut loose, yeah.
Yeah, but now you know what? I'm going to be more conscious of it, and it might actually bug me in later episodes.
Yeah, there's moments where like every second word was fuck, and I'm just like, oh my god, like it's just. I'm really.
People swear, right, Kenneth?
It feels weird. It feels weird to be like, finally, my favorite comic and character is.
Oh my god!
What?
I just thought of it. Anton Chigurh. Anton Chigurh.
Look at that.
That's it. That's it right there. Anton Chigurh.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steamroll your thought, but I was just I wasn't listening. So.
I was just going off.
Yeah, I know. I know, and it's tougher for you because like this is like your baby. Like you literally first issue to last issue. You probably cried at the last issue.
Oh, I cried when the last issue was announced as being the last issue. I was like, what? I thought I had my Savage Dragon like you had yourself. I thought I could read that thing for the rest of my life.
Which is funny because when I got back into reading Savage Dragon, I'm good. I'm okay.
It's too political and stuff now,
eh? No, it's not even. No, it's not even. It's not even just that. It's just it's hard to say exactly. I mean, well, okay, so they ramped up the sex in the book,
big time.
So, and I mean, I've always kind of had an issue with sex and like blatant sex in comic books.
Yeah.
Because I'm always just like, we don't really need to, like, I don't need to see Malcolm Dragon holding his wife like this, like porno style, eating her out. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see that. They have 3 kids. I know they're having sex. I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. And it's like at one point, it was Malcolm, his girlfriend at the time, getting it on with his stepsister. Not by blood, right?
Yep.
All at the same time. I think he actually ends up getting both of them pregnant. Yeah, and it was just like, okay, all right. And then I go to the next issue, and I'm like, it's more sex and
more sex.
Yeah,
there's so much sex. I remember I was reading the solicitations for Image like a couple of years ago. And I came across Savage Dragon and it said cover A, cover B, X-rated variant or X-rated polybagged variant. And I was like, what the fuck? And it's just like this super fucking
that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. Like even just like him moving to Canada, like it's not that political. Yes, the actual act of him leaving the United States because of Trump is a political statement.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't blame him for wanting to move to Canada in that regard. Too bad COVID hit and he had to stay in Oakland. But still, like, and that was actually a harder one than to watch a cartoon based on Savage Dragon and being like, oh, I just hate this, or they made so many changes. It was harder to get back into the book and be like, yes, fucking rights, you know, and then just being like, oh, I think I've outgrown this book. That's what it was. I felt like I outgrown the book.
Okay.
You know, where I was like, you know what? I'm almost 40. And like I said right at the beginning, I don't need to see cartoon characters getting it on.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to see like fucking Lady Vagina. I don't know why I said Lady Vagina. I guess technically there are man vaginas out there. Manginas.
Vaginas.
Because they're transitioning. So I guess there is that. But it's not something I need to see in a comic book, you know?
I feel the same way.
Or unless it's like remember when we go to Comics Plus and there was that erotic comic book section and those were all bagged up and you couldn't read those ones?
Yep.
Unless it was like that, like you're specifically writing a superhero sex book.
Yeah.
That's different. Because then I go, okay, well, if I'm reading this, it's because I've chosen to check this out or I've chosen to buy this book. As opposed to like, oh, you know, I'll just check out what Malcolm Jr. or Malcolm Dragon's up to now and then go, oh, he's having an orgy. Okay.
The book's transitioned into something totally different.
Yeah. And I don't want creators to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I want ultimately creators to do what they feel is art for them. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not for me. But you know what I did do? I went on Twitter and I flamed him like crazy.
Did you really?
I doxed him on Twitter. I doxed him on Instagram. I doxed him. I was just like, I can't believe anybody would read this filth. You shouldn't put this out. You fucking, just kidding. I didn't do any of those things. I just stopped reading the book. I literally just read the book, went, oh, this is not for me. And then I stopped reading the book and then I went about my day.
At first I was like, wow, did you really do that? And then you kept going. I was like, oh yeah, no, I know where this is leading.
Yeah, no death threats, no nothing.
Because like when you meet Larson in real life, he's just such like a shy, very laid back kind of dude. So
yeah, he seems like just such a chill dude.
His weird drawing technique, just like drawing vaginas and shit.
Yeah, just like weird vagina. Like, I mean, you know, his art is still great, you know, and he's still pushing his art is like, I would say, better than it's been in the longest time, but
yeah,
it's just no longer for me.
Hey, fuck, the guy's doing 2 ongoings now. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but
he's bringing back like Ant as an ongoing.
Oh, well, I thought you were talking about North Force.
Well, I think that's just a one shot.
Yeah, and it's essentially just the same issue as the most recent Dragon.
Yeah, but the he's doing Ant. It's got like
interesting
4 variant covers that he did all by himself. But it's
getting released.
Yeah, getting released the same month as Savage Dragon, so he's doing 2 ongoings.
You know what? I'll check out Ant. I mean,
yeah.
The only thing I will say about Larson too, though, is that like he's admittedly like a Silver Age guy, so he's not looking to write the new age of comic books, and that's fine for him. But he's not trying to be anything else other than Eric Larson, so I can't fault him for that.
No, I can't.
Or send him death threats or anything like that.
McFarlane's doing the same thing. Liefeld does the same. Like all those guys, the only one that consistently grows and stuff, but is Kirkman. But then he's like our age, right? He's not in his 50s.
Yeah,
like the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly. So he grew up with the age of comic books that we grew up with.
Yeah,
I believe was the Golden Age or the Platinum Age.
Yeah, platinum. Yeah,
I think it's platinum. I think that's where we're at.
Gold is older than silver. Oh, silver. It was gold, silver, and then platinum. I don't even think there was a bronze. I don't know. Gold is the older age. Gold's the old age.
Okay, so then bronze, we'd be Bronze Age then.
Probably bronze. Yeah.
Yeah, because when we were growing up, Spider-Man had been married the entire time.
Right, exactly.
In comic books, he was always with Mary Jane. And we knew who Gwen Stacy was, but it was never like a focal point for us.
Right.
Hell, they killed off Aunt May.
Yeah. Twice.
Yeah, and both times they brought her back weirdly.
Both times.
So anyway, so getting back to Invincible, so
yeah.
I can feel for you when you're watching this, and it's like I don't want to say like you turn into that fanboy that's like, no, this is my special toy, you can't change it. But I can understand why some of these changes would be jarring, where you might have to wrestle with it and go, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. And then maybe go, you know what, ultimately I like it, or just kind of accept it for what it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, really, there was a few things I didn't like. All in all, I love the whole season.
Yeah.
I prefer the pacing of the comic, but then I, grew up in the comic. So
right, but we're also talking about like technically season 1 of Invincible was the first 12 issues. That's an entire year.
It's more than that. Like
I would argue that first season would be like 25 issues, like right up until the big Mark Nolan or the Omni-Man Invincible fight would be the end of season 1. That's what I would argue. But
like the Flaxen invasions, all 3 took place in one episode, and all 3 took place like every 20 or 30 issues in the comic. So,
I know. I did like that though. I thought it was kind of cool how they just hammered through that. But they left some nice plot threads that were kind of cool, like the Mars plot thread.
Yep, really enjoyed the Mars.
Cool. That episode was great. Like that was right out of the comic.
The sequids, yeah, that was good and creepy. I'm looking forward to them arriving on Earth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All the stuff with who is that? Ezra Miller was in here. Yeah. Ezra Miller? Was it Ezra? I'm going through my list here. Yeah, Ezra Miller. He popped up as D.A. Sinclair, so he made the Reaniman on the college there.
Yes, that's right.
That like in the comic, the Reaniman was like cool and creepy, and I loved it. Here, perfect. They did so much justice. I loved it.
Very cool. Very cool. I also liked how they immediately touched upon how D.A. Sinclair was going to start working for the government.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and Mark's just like,
what the fuck? Away and put him right to work. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the worst part is that like when it comes down to it in real life, that's what would have happened.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
They would have been like, okay, well, you got two choices. You can rot in a cell for the rest of your life, or you could work for us. You'll still be a criminal and you'll still be in custody, but you'll be working for us. Like Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
Where he helps them with the forgeries and stuff like that, tracking down scams. He's still a criminal. Was it Frank DeBont? Anyway, but he ends up working for them and then ends up having like a career beyond that. So,
the movie, that was Spielberg.
No, I'm not. I said Frank DeBont. I meant the guy's name, like in real life.
Guy's name. Okay, I thought you were talking about the director.
I know he used Barry Allen as an alias, but that's about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, comic books.
Touching on Walton Goggins again, I was a little unsure about his casting as Cecil because I always imagined Cecil to have more of a gruff voice, like a Sam Elliott type of sound to him. You know.
Yeah, well, yeah, he looks like he would have that, and I think that's probably why I didn't recognize or didn't place Goggins right away, was because like he's done voices like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he didn't play this with anything other than just like almost deadpan.
Yeah.
But it worked for the character of Cecil.
You know what? It totally worked. At first, I was a little like, he's a little like whinier than what I was expecting for Cecil. By the end of it, I loved it. I thought he was great as Cecil. And I know a lot of like longtime fans disagree with that way of thinking. Like they didn't like him all the way through, but like he really grew on me.
But I think that's part of that where, because like, and we grew up with this stuff, and so we're beholden to it too. So I'm guilty of it too, where you're just like, this is not how I pictured it, or this isn't my, whatever. I like that I'm at the point where I can start getting more like, okay, well then it's not for me.
Yeah.
Like the Batman. I don't know if it's going to be for me. I'm going to watch it. Mm-hmm. And if it is for me, great. If it isn't, I just won't watch it.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at now. Like if it's something where I feel like it's not going to be for me, I won't go watch it in the theater. I won't support it that way, but I will watch it eventually to go, okay, I was right in the way I thought. Or
with the Batman, I'm going to actually need to see like a full-on trailer.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'll decide if I see that in the theater. I have a hard time believing I'm not going to see it in the theater, though. I really have a hard time thinking I'm not going to see it in the theater.
I mean, I'm going to watch it in the theater. I know I'm going to watch it in the theater. I watched Joker in the theater, and I really felt nothing for that film.
Yeah, I guess really what I'm saying is I don't know if I'll go opening night. I think that's where I'm at. Because, I don't see it. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't go see it in the theater, especially now that I'm fully vaccinated. Oh, by the way, my arm, much better now.
Wow, that was quick.
This morning was brutal. It was really bad. But like, I mean, obviously, like I'm not just like stationary the whole day. Like I'm moving it around. So like now it's still tender, especially in the spot, like right in there and in the muscles, but it's not as bad.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah. So I'll probably have a little bit tomorrow, and then by Friday I'll be back to tip-top shape. Oh, I thought was kind of interesting. I remember at one point on the Masters of the Universe group chat, we were talking about why did Nolan keep his bloodied suit hidden on top of a fucking shelf in his house?
Will was really digging into the actions of Omni-Man, like really just going like, why the fuck?
But that's true, because I thought the same thing. I was like, that's a weird place to put that
bag of bloody clothes into the sun.
I know, or like, I like how later we found out like he kept it so that he could frame or fuck around with Damien Darkblood.
Yeah.
So that I was like, okay, like at least they had the forethought to go, we have to explain why he did something so stupid, because like really it was dumb. And I was thinking about it, then Will brought it up and I'm like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. And like, but the other part too is like, okay, all right, I understand you're hiding it and you need it to fuck with Damien Darkblood. But why wouldn't you hide it on the moon?
Yeah.
Why would you hide it on any other planet that no one else could get to except for you and Mark if he knew where he was going?
Go down to the bottom of the Marianas Trench or something. Like, why would you put it in a baggie on the top shelf of the kitchen where your wife can go on the counter?
She could be cleaning it. She could be cleaning the top of the counters. And I know not everyone does clean the top of the counters, but once a year, for some reason, you go up there and you see it, and then you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, this is gross.
We gotta clean this. And then you get down and go, hey honey, I think you gotta clean the top of the counters. Ooh. You get out of the house.
Yes.
But yes, that was the one of the only times in the whole show where I was like, that's dumb. That's dumb. That is so dumb. Like, you're lucky that it took her that many episodes to find it.
Yeah. I really liked that Deborah was a strong woman in here and like had like the sense to go, there's something fishy with my husband.
Yes, I did like that too, because they didn't have that in. I don't think she wasn't any less strong in the comic books.
She wasn't. But she was just more willing. I don't want to say willing to look the other way when it came to her loved ones, but she had a hard time believing.
Yes,
anything.
It was hard for her. Yeah, it was hard for her to think that Nolan could do anything like that. Whereas I thought this was kind of more interesting, because first it's like, wait. Like, she's starting to see through some of the bullshit. And then she's thinking, like, could he actually have done this?
Mm-hmm.
And then the realization that he actually did was horrible. Like, I felt it. I was like, oh God, I couldn't imagine that. Like, could you imagine, like, all of a sudden just suddenly thinking your wife killed somebody and then finding out that she did kill somebody, and so far she's gotten away with it?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely changed the dynamic in the house.
Oh, big time.
Now imagine your wife is a fucking superpowered alien. Like, you're not getting any sleep.
No.
You're going to be drinking as much wine as you possibly can just to get to sleep. And that's another thing too. Like, you see, she starts drinking more towards the end of the season. You're like, well, no shit.
Of course she is.
Like, oh yeah.
Maybe if I just get really drunk and obnoxious, he'll just leave me.
yeah, exactly. Oh man. But even like, I even like the stuff they did with Omni-Man, like when they get the full scope of his power. Like, I like how this is another meme where they're just like, see what they can only do to reproduce a fraction of our power. Like, that's a meme as well.
Yep.
But that was another really cool line where you're just like that's fucking crazy, you know? Like, what could they possibly do, really?
Exactly. I mean, it's so much of the show was honestly, even though changed from the comic, it was still perfect. Like, friggin', I loved a lot of it. And the casting was solid. Monster Girl, I was a little bummed out to see her get her ass kicked by Battle Beast.
Yeah, that
kind of. See, again, this is why I feel like Battle Beast came in too soon. Like, I love Battle Beast, but I really think he came in too soon. He should have been left for season 2.
I agree with that. I think it was too soon. But I do think now, like, the anticipation will be there for when we see Battle Beast again.
Yeah.
But I agree. Shouldn't have. Okay, buddy. You can stop licking my pants. Okay.
But I can't help it, Chris. That's just for all the
podcast. So he just moves enough so that I can scratch his bum. So now I'm the butt scratcher. Butt scratcher.
Dr. Butt Scratcher.
Shit, yeah. Like, I mean, I gotta say, it's just fucking so good. It was so good.
The last episode, though, was
last episode was incredible.
Like, that fight,
the last episode was so incredible.
Everything about that. Like, that train sequence is probably one of the craziest things I've seen in my life.
Oh,
just holding Mark's head and then everything just like people going through him.
I know, like this, even like when they did that stuff in the comic books where they'd have like Mark getting punched through a building and then through that building, he's going through people.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. Like they don't ever show that in the comic books, but if you really stopped and thought about it, what are the odds that Spider-Man wouldn't be hitting people as he is thrown through a building, right?
Yeah.
And people will go, well, he's got a spider sense and he'd be dodging as he goes, right? What if he's unconscious?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But to see that on that scale, and that's another reason why I have a hard time thinking that live action Invincible will get off the ground. Because if it does, like even rated R, it's still not going to be showing that level because it almost can't show that level.
Yeah.
And it might be better if it stays in the animated world because it's easier for you to go, yeah, it's a cartoon. There's something to be said about seeing it in real life or like in a movie and it's fake, but it could still be really jarring. Like I'm still fucked up from House of a Thousand Corpses because I saw shit in that movie that I shouldn't have seen. And then because of that, I've actually stayed away from other movies like Tusk, for instance. I've heard Tusk is really good. I'm not watching Tusk because I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to see a movie like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Tusk.
When your brain goes, maybe take a break from this movie and you have not even gotten halfway through the movie. Because that's it. I've only watched a couple of chunks of House of a Thousand Corpses. That's it. I've never watched it all the way through in one shot. Never watched it all the way through in one shot. It was like chunk 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Chunk 2. Okay. And then chunk 3 was like the final stretch. But at that point I was like, they're not getting away. You're not getting away. You're going to get picked up and it's going to be one of the fucking carnies. And then it was
shocking.
So I don't know. It's tough to say. Would I be all for it? Yes, I would be all for it. But the other part that's tough too is the cast for the cartoon is perfect. So do you get the cast for the live action? I mean, I'm sure J.K. Simmons is still rocking his Jim Gordon body. So
yeah, I don't like some of them could easily translate over, but
Steve Ewan could definitely translate over.
Could he though? Mark's a teenager.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. No, he couldn't.
Steven's probably around 40, so.
But he's Asian, so he looks.
He's got that going for him.
He still looks like he's older. Yeah, he doesn't. It's not like Tobey Maguire who was rocking 24, 25 when he was supposed to be in high school.
I mean, I can only assume. I mean, yeah, obviously they'd be Asian in the live action now after the cartoon.
Yeah, well, isn't Mark a half Asian in the comic book too?
Kirkman has said that Debbie is Korean, but never once is it said in the comic. And Mark has blue eyes through the whole thing. He's very much Caucasian.
Well, I mean, the blue eyes could be from his dad's side, the Viltrumite.
Good, powerful Viltrumite eyes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's possible. Mm-hmm. That's another thing I really like too, how they touched upon the Viltrumite stuff. And I liked how they literally had the two different stories.
Yeah.
Like Nolan was like, I mean, I was fucking lying, okay? I mean, you're a kid. I had to tell you this, but the reality is, no, we're fucking conquerors. Yeah. We show up, we colonize, we take over, and then we add to our empire. And that's a brand new Viltrumite planet.
Yeah.
Whatever's on it gets wiped out.
Yep.
And then, I like how he was holding off because he has a son. So he was waiting for his son to get his powers. And that's the thing too that I like, that it goes from like being like, yeah, like I got powers. He's like, yeah, you got powers. Now we're training. And now you're going to take over the earth. Right. And I'm glad they did that in this season. I don't know, like, holding it off for 25 issues was awesome in the comic book because it really lended weight, and that was a brutal fucking beatdown. But I'm glad the beatdown was just as brutal. It was just as brutal.
And you get the way they did with Omni-Man and Mark was perfect. Like that. Yes. That was. Right from the start, I was like, that has to be the end of the first season.
Exactly. If they would have dragged that up to season 2, this season wouldn't have been as good.
No.
It had to end like that.
Great friggin' dialogue, too. Like when he's like, "What are you gonna have in 1,000 years, Mark?" And he said, "I'd have you dead." And then
I know.
And then he has that flashback of Mark when he's a kid playing baseball, and then he flies off. Like
I was like, that is so awesome. That
Yeah.
is so awesome.
Yeah.
But that actually, it reminded me of the ending for the actual comic book, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just like, because like the things that they do in the comic book is awesome. Like it pushes the superhero genre. So like reading Invincible and then reading Superman right after that, like immediately you're just like, okay, you could say that this is the most realistic take on Superman all you want, but this is actually a really cooler take on what this guy would do. Because within 5,000, it was 5,000 years. Then 5,000 years, he, fucking like brought peace. Like he saved everyone.
Yeah.
Saved and then made it so that the Viltrumites can coexist peacefully with other planets and other races and stuff like that. Like he extends the Viltrumite army past anything his father could have ever comprehended, but he did it his own way. And I'm like, this is so awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Plus, I also kind of like how Invincible gets bigger, muscular, the older he gets.
Yeah.
So he goes from like that Spider-Man physique in the early days to more of a Captain America physique by the end of the run. And you're like, well, that makes a lot of sense. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could rave about Invincible all day long. The animation was amazing. The animation was absolutely amazing. The color spectrum of the animation. Like I like that this was a very bright, eye-catching cartoon as opposed to dark and dreary and edgy. Yeah. Because again, we're talking about a comic book that's also brightly colored.
Yes.
And I think that's the other thing that would throw people too, is because it's almost cartoony in the comic books. So when you get that disgusting, gory violence, it's just like, it's jarring. Because I remember the first time I saw it, I was just like, whoa, holy shit. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't prepare me for the Omni-Man fight, but it was still just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck, man. People think that Omni-Man fight was crazy. Just wait for Conquest to arrive. Just wait.
Oh, God. Yeah. Like, wow. It's I look at Invincible and I think it's basically what would happen if it's Superman or Spider-Man and Dragon Ball Z smashed together. Because you have fights that are like 4 issues long.
Oh, I know. Like,
but at no point in time are you just like, okay, all right. You're just like, how the fuck does he get out of this one? I can't wait to see Langstrom. Like, that's going to be really cool.
Yep.
Is that's what I'm thinking about? The one with the brain and the
Langstrom.
Langstrom? Yeah. Langstrom, yeah. I almost said Levi Langstrom.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. I think that's going to be really cool.
That's going to be great.
If we're going to see the alternate versions of Mark Grayson, I think would be really cool, like the cannibal one.
Conquest when he arrives. I would love to see an animated version of the Invincible War, but it's not going to happen with all those characters. It's going to happen. It's just not going to happen with those characters. Like,
yeah. That's right.
Like,
yeah.
Part of the deal with Amazon was like none of Kirkman's other characters actually appear in Invincible could appear in this. So
yeah, that's right.
That's why Science Dog was Seance Dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Why we won't see Tech Jacket or the Astounding Wolfman.
That's right.
Or Brit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a weird call for them to make. It's a weird call for them to make.
It's kind of a bummer. I mean, like if I was Kirkman, I understand him wanting to keep everything separate because you make more money doing it that way. But isn't it kind of nice too to have a connected your universe connected on TV?
I think that'd be what I would have done. But it's hard to say too because then again, like Kirkman isn't just hands off with this too. So like he didn't have to sign the deal. He could have said, "Yeah, no, I'm good," and then shopped the property around.
Yeah.
But he ultimately went with Amazon because he thought that'd be the best bet.
Yeah. And it seems to be working.
Yeah, and so far I can't really say I blame him. I mean, this is like it's a 1-2 punch. The Amazon with the boys and Invincible. So you got two really dark takes on superheroes.
Yeah.
The difference though is that like with the boys, Garth Ennis hates superheroes. You can tell he hates superheroes. You read the book, you can tell he hates superheroes. He fucking hates superheroes with a passion. Kirkman, on the other hand, loves superheroes, but he also loves doing things differently with them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the difference. Now, the boys TV show, they don't hate superheroes. They don't hate superheroes. They just loved the property and they're doing the best they can with it. And I can't wait for season 3. Like Soldier Boy, I think is going to be interesting.
Oh man, Jensen Ackles, I'm so pumped to see him in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's going to be really sweet.
Ripped. Holy crap.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle the Soldier Boy, because Soldier Boy is fucking like the exact opposite of Captain America in every way, shape, and form. Like he's a total pussy. He can barely fight. I think in the comic books he was like he blew Homelander without any prodding because he thought that's just what you do. Oh, that's how you join the boys or VOT Team 7 or VOT 7 or whatever. He's like, oh, okay, I'll suck your dick. I couldn't even imagine that. I think I would probably be like, wait, I got a what? Everyone's done it to be on this team, and it's not just it's all of them. I'm good. I don't really need to.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, but I'm like I can't wait for season 2 of Invincible. The second it was done, I was like, I hope I don't have to wait 40 years for this.
I hope it comes quick.
I hope so too. I hope so too.
It's animated, so.
But that's easy to say, though. It's easy to say animated would be quicker, but
it is easy to say that. But I mean, I'm thinking
this is a high level of animation.
The pandemic going on, it's probably easier to do.
Yeah,
I think California is like wide open again. I think they're all.
Well, I think California, has been wide open for quite some time.
Yeah, no masks, everything's.
It depends on the state and who's running it.
Yeah. So, I can't wait for more Invincible. I'm pumped. I'm pumped that my favorite comic book is a series, and even though I'm a little upset with some of the changes, and I'm a lot of upset with some of the idiot people that are joining the fan base.
Like, what do you mean joining the fan base?
Oh, fuck, man. I've been a part of this Facebook group called Invincible Fans for, I don't know, 10 years. It's been around since the beginning of Facebook, right? And it's just all the fans of the comic talking about the comic, showing panels. Yeah. Hey, I got this artist. I got this page.
Yeah.
Right? And now it's full of, oh, don't talk about the comic. You're spoiling the show for all of us.
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's full of that. And now all the old fans that have been here forever are just like, well, fuck this place. I'm out, I guess.
I was going to say, yeah. So like now you feel like, okay.
Yeah.
Like you want to say, okay, well then don't show up on this forum.
Yeah. And they go, well, I'll read the comic then. And, oh no, I don't want to read the comic. I want everything to be a surprise for me in the TV show. Well then stay off this fucking forum. Fuck. What the fuck? So
yeah, like
yeah.
And even then, it's just like, okay, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Yeah. I feel like if I was on some sort of forum and I was talking about Daredevil and somebody was just like, oh, don't talk about Daredevil because you'll ruin season 3. And then I'd be like, then fuck off. Like, go somewhere else to talk about Daredevil. Go create your own forum where it's just people that only watch the show and are only familiar with the character from the show.
Yeah.
And you guys could talk about it all you want. But also, I don't know, maybe don't be a dick about it. Hey, just a heads up, guys. I don't want anything spoiled to me. Then log off. Get out of that forum for that day.
Get the fuck out. Like there's where is it here? I gotta find it.
I shouldn't even be surprised at this point. I really shouldn't be.
This was like a day or two ago. Please tell me he didn't delete it.
He had a feeling that he was going to be on a Camcast.
I don't even see it now. I don't even see it. But Otley literally posted a page that he did from the comic, and someone went off on him on Twitter saying that he was spoiling the show for everyone. And he's like, "Don't think of it as a spoiler. Just think of it as a trailer of what's to come."
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a good way to put it too.
I was just like, "Are you seriously going after like one of the creators right now about spoilers?"
How do they care?
What
they're
the
like,
fuck?
They're Invincifan57 at gmail.com. They're not, Chris Mercier.
So
they're hiding behind their keyboard, so it's okay for them to say that kind of stuff. I almost forgot. I wanted to say hi to all our friends in Malaysia. Hey, it turns out we're top 100. So I'm not sure how to say it in Malaysian, but thank you so much for the support, guys. We really appreciate it. Kenneth's laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm very happy
today,
about
and
this.
I was like, are you kidding me? On Apple Podcasts, the Geek Pants Camcast is in the top 100 for movie podcasts in Malaysia.
Hey, you know who else was in Malaysia?
Who?
5 syllables. Derek Zoolander.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was pretty cool.
And he saved the president of Malaysia.
He did.
But yeah, no, it is really cool. It's interesting that I guess, I mean, we were bound to be a hit somewhere.
Yeah. Hey, I'm fine with being a hit in Malaysia. Hey, Hasselhoff's big in Germany. We could be big in Malaysia.
Yeah, exactly.
We could be the Malaysian Hasselhoffs.
That's right. We could be like all hammered, eating burgers on the ground, and saying hi to our friends in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. But yeah, so since we're talking about Invincible, I want to give a special shout out to a guy I talked to on Instagram. He goes by Dave's Comics.
Dave's Comics.
Dave's Comics. Huge Invincible fan. He found my stuff on Instagram and then just started talking to me one day because he didn't see anyone that actually loved Invincible as much as him.
Oh,
so that was cool. And so now we're buddies.
Hey, Dave.
What's up, Dave?
Keep up the good work.
And I want to give a special shout out to Radiant Black because everyone should be reading it. And I'm saying Radiant Black because 100%. Kirkman has said, if you miss Invincible, this is the comic to read. And I could not agree with him more because it's blowing my mind every issue.
Yeah. Yep. There's still only the 4th issue, or is there the 5th out yet?
Issue 5's out.
Okay. All right. I gotta read that.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It has to be crazy. It has to be nuts. Issue 4 was bonkers.
Yeah.
I'm like bonkers.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm not even going to try to figure out what's going to come down the line.
Yeah, it's probably best.
Yeah. Because I was just like, but
I think my theory about him trying to be as good as his buddy, I think that's going to come into play. I don't see this being like the makings of a supervillain.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having said that, I don't fucking know.
I don't know either. I mean, I thought maybe that was the route they were going to go, only because the twist that they've been throwing at me has been throwing me on my ass.
That's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Another one I'm looking forward to is the resolution to the Immortal Hulk run. And then, of course, the Incredible Hulk #1 with Donny Cates
and Ryan Otley.
Like
holy shit!
What?
That is a team. That is a team right there.
I stand by my prediction. I think "quote unquote" Baby Hulk gets killed, and I think Leonard Samson also gets killed.
Yep.
But I think that these deaths are final for now, except for like Baby Hulk or Classic Hulk. I'll say Classic Hulk because I hate that they called him Baby Hulk. I really do.
It's kind of dumb.
I mean, it makes sense within the construction of the story and how they're different personalities. So it makes sense that the most childlike would be the Baby Hulk, but I hate it. I hate that it's called Baby Hulk, you know? But I can't believe you stopped at that book. That book is so good.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to it. I wasn't feeling it. Like I
What
really
part did you
loved,
get
I
to?
really loved the horror aspects. I really loved the horror aspects. But whenever the superhero stuff came into it, I was just like, I'm not into this. Like, this is not why I'm reading this book. Does that
Like
make
with
any sense to
the
you?
like Gamma Flight with that stuff?
Yeah, the Gamma Flight stuff, the little Avengers appearances. Issue 25 was just really fucking weird. Like a double-sized issue with like weird language with all these weird people.
Oh
on
yeah,
planets.
yeah. No, I
I
didn't
read
really
that.
like that episode.
I read that. I was just
that
like,
episode.
oh my god.
I didn't really like that issue either, but
Yeah.
I'm like at issue 40. I'm waiting for issue 48. That's right. So that's coming out, I think, this month. So
Yeah,
or next month. It might be next month.
it's almost there.
Oh, it's so crazy.
But, I mean,
good.
there is a lot of shit that I loved. Like the whole Abomination thing was creepy as fuck. Red Harpy. I guess that's what she's going by now. She was Red She-Hulk, but now she's Harpy. Like,
yeah, Red Harpy
creepy.
as like Betty Ross as Red Harpy. Like that's nuts. Just the stuff they're doing, like it's crazy. The stuff with the green door, and then of course there's the red door and all the different Hulk variations. And like I'm still trying to figure out like if we're gonna see like Smart Hulk again, because he hasn't been in this run at all. And I mean they show why he's not in this run, but it's still just and it's all the fucking leader, like
yep.
And the leader looks incredible. As always, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another Camcast. Yeah, I mean, Invincible. If you haven't seen it by now, watch it because it's just great. And
like
Amazon,
I said, watch it. If you don't have Amazon, sign up to Amazon to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Amazon Prime, free shipping, bitches.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you could also be watching The Boys, and you could be watching the Jack Ryan Show. You can be watching a bunch of movies. I think they have almost all the Mission Impossibles on there.
They got a lot of great exclusive movies too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, watch Invincible. Yeah, if you have watched it, let us know what you think. If you read the comic book, let us know what you think. If you have suggestions of stuff that you'd like to see us do, watch, or things like that, because I've got some ideas for Halloween this year. It's a little bit different. And I haven't run them by Kenneth yet, and I'm going to wait a couple more days so he'll stewing about it. But I'm excited about this, and I think this might actually work. But as always, let us know in the comments. Let us know on any of the platforms, because like we're everywhere. There's nowhere we're not. I mean, we're literally in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. So it's not just, YouTube. It's not just Facebook. It's not just Instagram. It's not just Twitter. Okay. It's not just SoundCloud and Apple and Google Podcasts. And it's not just the geekpantsmedia.com. It's also Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole country.
I mean, we're probably celebrities and we don't even know it. They probably hate us now.
Yeah.
Now they're probably like, you know what? No, we're good. We're good.
We're right out of the top 100 with that. Boom, gone.
Yeah. I mean, they're arrogant pricks now.
Yep.
But all jokes aside, like I love the support. And we appreciate the support. We love that our subscribers are climbing. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep watching, and please let us know. Let us know if we're doing stuff you like. Let us know if we're doing stuff you hate. And
if you say that we're spoiling too much shit, then yeah.
Well, that's on you. That's on you, because we are spoiling. And besides, you don't want to piss off Anton Chigurh. Oh, this is so brutal.
Oh boy, that is just. Oh,
that's pretty close, eh?
It's really, yeah. That's. Oh yeah. That's the face.
That cold death stare.
The face of a killer, right there.
Yeah. All I need is a high pressure air gun. Although you laughed, but the first time I saw him kill somebody with that, I was like, yeah, I would die.
Yeah. Fuck.
He does it so quickly and casually that by the time you register what he's done, you're already in whatever respective place you believe in. You're in heaven, hell, you're hanging out with Allah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I was like, Oh my God. If that was real life, that's it. Like, you're dead.
You're dead, man. I was like, why is this guy walking around with an oxygen tank?
You're like, it's high pressure air.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, such a good movie.
Oh yeah.
All right. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, and actually everybody of all the gender spectrums, thank you so much.
Invincible.
And that's it. Yeah, there you go.